In the rich tapestry of Indian history, few threads are as bold and transformative as that of the Maurya dynasty. Before its rise, India was a patchwork of squabbling kingdoms, a land of many rulers with no single sovereign. This all began to change around 322 BCE with a young man of humble origins named Chandragupta Maurya. He was ambitious, yes, but ambition alone does not build an empire. His story is inseparable from that of his mentor, a brilliant and cunning political strategist named Chanakya, also known as Kautilya. Chanakya, a Brahmin teacher from Takshashila, saw the potential in Chandragupta to unite the subcontinent and drive out the foreign forces left behind by Alexander the Great. The partnership between Chandragupta and Chanakya is a legendary tale of strategy and statecraft. Chanakya, fueled by a desire to see a strong, unified India, guided his young protege with wisdom laid down in his famous treatise, the Arthashastra. This text was not just a book. It was a manual for kings on how to rule, how to manage an economy, how to conduct espionage, and how to wage war. With Chanakya's sharp intellect and Chandragupta's military prowess, they first overthrew the powerful Nanda dynasty that ruled the kingdom of Magadha. This victory was the cornerstone upon which they would build their vast empire, a new chapter for the land. With the Nandas defeated, the duo established their capital at the magnificent city of Pataliputra, modern-day Patna. This city, situated at the confluence of the Ganges, Gandak and Sun rivers, was a fortress of immense strategic and commercial importance. From this bustling metropolis, Chandragupta launched his campaigns, expanding his dominion westward. He famously confronted Seleucus I Nicator, one of Alexander the Great's generals, who controlled the eastern parts of the Macedonian Empire. Instead of a prolonged bloody conflict, the two rulers reached an agreement. Chandragupta gained vast territories, and in a gesture of peace and alliance, is said to have married a daughter of Seleucus. This marked the beginning of Mauryan supremacy. The empire that Chandragupta forged was the very first to unify most of the Indian subcontinent under a single ruler. It was an unprecedented consolidation of power, stretching from the Himalayas in the north to the Deccan Plateau in the south, and from Afghanistan in the west to Bengal in the east. Chanakya's vision was being realized. A fragmented land was slowly being woven into a single political and cultural fabric, governed from the grand capital of Pataliputra. This was not just a change of rulers, it was the birth of a new idea of India itself, a unified entity. The Mauryan saga is defined by its three greatest rulers, each leaving a distinct mark on the empire. The founder, Chandragupta Maurya, was the great unifier. His reign was characterized by military expansion and the establishment of a robust administrative system, all under Chanakya's watchful eye. He created a powerful army and a network of spies to maintain control over his vast territories. But his story has a curious ending. It is believed that late in his life, Chandragupta renounced his throne and worldly power. He became a follower of Jainism and, according to tradition, traveled south to Shravanabelagola, where he ended his life by fasting, a practice known as Salakana. The mighty emperor chose a spiritual path over a worldly one. Chandragupta was succeeded by his son, Bindusara, around 297 BCE, while often overshadowed by his famous father and even more famous son. Bindusara was a capable ruler who maintained the integrity of the empire. He is known in historical texts as Amitragata, meaning the slayer of enemies, which suggests he was active in suppressing revolts and possibly expanding the empire's influence further south. The third and most celebrated Mauryan emperor was Ashoka the Great, Bindusara's son, who ascended the throne around 268 BCE. Initially, Ashoka was much like his grandfather, a fierce and ambitious conqueror, determined to expand the empire to its furthest possible limits. His early reign was defined by this military zeal, culminating in the brutal Kalinga War around 261 BCE. The kingdom of Kalinga, on the east coast of India, was one of the last remaining independent states. Ashoka's victory was absolute, but the cost was staggering. The battlefield was filled with death and destruction, and the sight of this immense suffering caused a profound transformation in the emperor. Overwhelmed by remorse, Ashoka renounced violent conquest forever. He converted to Buddhism and dedicated the rest of his reign to the concept of Dhamma, or righteous living. He replaced the policy of military victory, Digvijaya, with a policy of spiritual victory, Dhammavijaya. Ashoka's change of heart was not just a personal matter, it became state policy. he inscribed his new philosophy on pillars and rocks throughout his empire known as the Edicts of Ashoka. These edicts promoted peace, tolerance, non-violence, and social welfare. The ruthless conqueror had transformed into a benevolent philosopher-king, a figure unique in the annals of world history. The Mauryan Empire was not just vast, it was remarkably well organized, a testament to the administrative genius of Chanakya and the rulers who implemented his ideas. The government was a centralized bureaucracy, with the emperor at its apex. The empire was divided into provinces, which were further subdivided into districts and villages, each with its own set of officials responsible for collecting taxes, administering justice, and maintaining order. This intricate system ensured that the emperor's authority reached even the most remote corners of his domain. A sophisticated network of spies and informants described in the Arthashastra kept the emperor aware of everything happening within his kingdom, ensuring stability and preventing rebellion. The military was the backbone of Mauryan power. It was a colossal, professionally managed force, said to have included 600,000 infantry soldiers, 30,000 cavalry, 9,000 war elephants, and 8,000 chariots. This formidable army not only conquered territories, but also secured trade routes and protected the empire from external threats. The Mauryans controlled vast trade networks that connected India to the rest of the world, from Southeast Asia to the Mediterranean. They traded spices, textiles, and precious stones for foreign goods, enriching the imperial treasury. The state also managed agriculture, irrigation, and mining, ensuring a prosperous and stable economy to support its administrative and military expenses. Art and architecture flourished under the Mauryans, especially during the reign of Ashoka. The period is best known for its magnificent stone sculptures and monolithic pillars. Before the Mauryans, most structures in India were built of wood and brick. Ashoka introduced the widespread use of stone for monumental purposes, a practice possibly influenced by contact with the Persian and Hellenistic worlds. He erected dozens of towering pillars, some over 50 feet high, polished to a mirror-like finish, and topped with intricate animal capitals, most famously the four-lion capital at Sarnath, which is now the national emblem of India. These pillars were engineering marvels and powerful symbols of the emperor's reach and his message of Dhamma. Beyond the pillars, the Mauryans are credited with building numerous stupas, dome-shaped mounds housing Buddhist relics to promote the faith. The Great Stupa at Sanchi, originally commissioned by Ashoka, is a prime example of this architectural legacy. They also carved impressive rock-cut caves, such as the Barabar caves in Bihar, which served as dwellings for ascetic monks. This tradition of rock-cut architecture would go on to influence Indian temple design for centuries. The art of the Mauryan period was a court art, designed to project the power, prestige, and piety of the emperors, and it set a new standard for craftsmanship and monumental expression in India. After Ashoka's death around 232 BCE, the Great Mauryan Empire began a slow but honestly irreversible decline. The strong, centralized leadership that had defined the reigns of Chandragupta, Bindusara, and Ashoka just vanished. Ashoka's later successors were, weaker rulers who struggled to manage the vast and complex machinery of the state. The empire, which had been held together by the sheer force of personality of its great emperors, began to fracture. Provincial governors who were once kept in check by a powerful central authority started to assert their independence, breaking away to form their own kingdoms. The unity that had been so painstakingly built began to unravel at the seams. Several factors contributed to this decline. Ashoka's policy of nonviolence, while noble, may have weakened the military's morale and readiness over time, making it difficult for his successors to quell rebellions or defend against external threats. The immense cost of maintaining a large army and a vast bureaucracy also placed a heavy strain on the imperial treasury. Some historians suggest that Ashoka's patronage of Buddhism may have caused a backlash from Brahmin communities who felt their traditional authority and influence were being undermined. The empire shrank rapidly as territories in the south and northwest broke away. The final blow came around 185 BCE, nearly 50 years after Ashoka's passing. The last Mauryan emperor, Brihadratha Maurya, was assassinated during a military parade. The assassin was his own commander-in-chief, a Brahmin general named Pushyamitra Shunga. With the emperor dead, Pushyamitra seized the throne and established the Shunga dynasty, which would rule over a much smaller kingdom centered in Magadha. The great Mauryan experiment in imperial unity had come to an end, and the subcontinent once again fragmented into a mosaic of regional powers. The fall of the Mauryas marked the end of an era, For over a century they had provided India with unprecedented political unity, economic prosperity, and cultural dynamism. Their collapse left a power vacuum that would not be filled for several centuries. The Shungas and later the Kanvas, who succeeded them in Magadha, never managed to replicate the scale or the grandeur of the Mauryan state. The dream of a single unified empire stretching across the subcontinent would remain just a memory until the rise of the Gupta Empire nearly 500 years later. The story serves as a powerful reminder that even the mightiest empires are fragile constructs. Though the Mauryan dynasty itself faded into history, its legacy is honestly woven into the very fabric of India. Its most significant contribution was the idea of a unified India itself. Before the Mauryas, the subcontinent was a concept of geography and culture, but not of politics. By bringing most of it under a single administrative umbrella, Chandragupta and his successors forged a new political identity. This idea of a united Bharatavarsha would echo through the centuries, inspiring future rulers and eventually shaping the consciousness of the modern nation-state of India. The Mauryan Empire provided the first historical blueprint for Indian unity. The administrative framework created by Chanakya and the Mauryas was another profound gift. Their system of provinces, districts, and a centralized bureaucracy became a model for governance for future Indian kingdoms. The Arthashastra remained an influential text on statecraft for centuries, and the Mauryan emphasis on a structured, efficient government left a lasting imprint on Indian political thought. Their economic innovations such as standardized currency, state-managed trade routes, and organized taxation created a template for a prosperous state. This infrastructure of governance helped integrate the subcontinent's diverse economies and cultures in a way that had never been done before. Perhaps the most far-reaching legacy of the Mauryan Empire was Ashoka's propagation of Buddhism. His conversion and subsequent patronage transformed Buddhism from a relatively small Indian sect into a major world religion. By sending missionaries to places like Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and the Hellenistic kingdoms of the West, Ashoka initiated the first large-scale spread of Buddhist teachings across the globe. His edicts, inscribed on rocks and pillars, stand today as timeless testaments to a philosophy of peace, compassion, and tolerance. In a world often dominated by tales of conquest, Ashoka's story offers a powerful alternative, that of a ruler who chose moral principle over military might. In the end, the Mauryas changed India forever by giving it its first great empire, its first unified political identity, and its first great emissary of peace. From the political genius of Chanakya to the military might of Chandragupta and the profound spiritual transformation of Ashoka, the dynasty's story is a cornerstone of Indian history. The lion capital of Ashoka at Sarnath, now the emblem of the Republic of India, is a constant reminder of this glorious past. It symbolizes the ideals of courage, justice, and peace, a legacy that continues to inspire India and the world more than 2 millennia later.